Hello, today I'm going to review the Sunnyside evaluation system. All certified staff will be evaluated this year using the Sunnyside rubric. The teacher evaluation handbook has been updated and a link will be sent out to all certified employees so they can save it on their drive. The information we cover today is in the handbook for certified teachers to always reference. In the orientation today, I will review the state legislation, the why, district policy, key components and rating scales, rating percentiles, outline the evaluation process, timelines, and forms for the 17-18 school year. District policy mandates that a district evaluation committee must be developed to complete any work related to the teacher evaluation process. The committee members do change, but they must be consistent in the makeup of how the committee is developed. Teachers typically represent the majority of the group. Principals also are representative, as well as central administrators. These 17-18 committee members are listed. I'm still in need of a couple of new members for the middle school sites. The committee will continue to meet throughout the year as needed. State legislation. Legislation mandates that all districts throughout the state of Arizona are required to include in their current teacher evaluation instruments quantitative data on student academic progress, and it must account for between 33% and 50% of the evaluation outcomes. Within the Sunnyside evaluation tool, student growth accounts for 34% of the total process. All districts were required to implement this new evaluation framework in the 2013-14 school year. District policies also have to be implemented yearly. In August, the orientation on the teacher evaluation system must occur in the first 3 weeks of school or within 3 weeks of an individual's hire date. Itinerant staff who are assigned to multiple sites must be assigned one qualified evaluator by the first student contact day. Yearly, the superintendent submits a list of qualified evaluators to the governing board for approval. Qualified evaluators must be approved prior to completing any evaluations. Key components of the evaluation process. Student growth can be classroom level and/or school level data, which equates for 34% of the evaluation tool. Teaching performance is equated using the Sunnyside rubric and equates for 66% of the process. When you combine the 34% for student growth and the 66% for teaching performance, the total score is worth 100%. The final evaluation report equals 100 points. The evaluation process consists of the following. A pre-conference. It is optional, however, it must be held if either the evaluator or the teacher requests that a pre-conference be held. Informal observations. Principals have been encouraged to complete informal walkthroughs as often as possible, at least bi-weekly for larger sites and weekly for smaller sites. They are to gather evidence using the rubric that can be added to the final summative report for every teacher. One informal must occur before any formal observation. Formal observations must be based on a complete and uninterrupted lesson. This can be bell to bell in a secondary classroom and a minimum of 30 to 45 minutes of uninterrupted instruction at any level. The evaluation process also includes observations. Non-continuing teachers who are in their first, second, or third year of teaching have 2 formal observations a year. One formal observation can be unannounced. Continuing teachers have one formal observation each year. Formal observations must be 60 calendar days apart. Formal observations may not take place 2 days before any scheduled period in which school is not in session for 1 week or more, unless agreed upon by the teacher and qualified evaluator. If a teacher is not satisfied with how the lesson proceeded during a formal observation, the teacher has 2 days to request that the observation be rescheduled. Teachers are required to submit a self-review within 5 days after a formal observation. Principals are required within the 5 days after a formal observation to provide written feedback to the teacher. This can be a draft of the final summative report. A final evaluation report conference must be held at least 5 working days before the end of either semester. If a principal has an area of concern that they observe during an informal walkthrough or in the formal observation, the evaluator must communicate in writing this concern within 5 days of observing the situation. Identification of Group A and B teachers will remain the same for this school year. To be identified as a Group A teacher, you must have 1 year of consistent data to qualify. There are 2 levels that qualify elementary and middle school teachers in Group A. Elementary level are the 4th, 5th, and 6th grade teachers whose students take the AZ Merit State Test. Kinder, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grade teachers do not qualify and are Group B teachers. In the middle school level, the teachers who teach ELA or math qualify for Group A because their students take AZ Merit. All other content and elective teachers are considered Group B teachers. At the high school level, because the state test is given at the 10th grade level and not again unless the student fails, teachers don't have yearly consistent data. So for now, all high school teachers are Group B teachers. The Sunnyside rubric consists of the following. There are 4 domains, 18 descriptors, and 72 indicators. There are also the 4 state and federal classifications, which are ineffective, developing, effective, and highly effective. The rubric is color-coded to allow you to see which domain you're looking at. Domain is design and preparation and is highlighted in green. Domain 2 is titled Classroom Culture and Structure and is blue. Domain 3 is titled Instruction and is orange. And Domain 4 is titled Professional Responsibility and Contributions and is colored yellow. On this slide, you can see the arrows identifying where the domain will be on each of the domains. It also has an arrow that points out the descriptors which are listed under each of the domains. Descriptors can vary from 4 to 6. And then the indicators, each descriptor has 4 indicators that are under the classifications. What does the final summative report contain for each group, A or B? The same thing. They will all certified teachers will have the following exhibits. Exhibit C, which documents your student academic progress, which equates for 34%. Exhibit D is the tool that principals will use to document how you fell out in your teaching performance on the rubric. Exhibit E is the teacher classification component and equates for 66%. Exhibit F is your final summative report. And of course, Exhibit G is a professional development plan. As I shared, Exhibit C is currently being updated. It's worth 34%. Exhibit C was divided into 2 sections last year, and each section of Exhibit C is allotted 17 points. 17 points will still be focused on your Exhibit G, which is the professional growth plan. All certified employees are required to develop and complete a plan. The other 17 points must be focused on student growth and is determined by AZ Merit. The District Evaluation Committee will be meeting to determine how this portion will be distributed. Once the committee has a recommendation, it will be shared out to all certified staff and leadership. This slide shows you Exhibit D, which is the scoring document qualified evaluators will utilize throughout the year to document what it is that's being observed in their informal as well as the formal observations. Exhibit E is the document that is used to determine your rubric classification. Exhibit F is the final evaluation report that combines all the exhibits, your teacher performance points, your student academic progress points, your 66 and your 34, to come up with your final teacher evaluation points. Once those points are determined, then the classification is identified and listed on this page. Professional Development Plan, which is Exhibit G. As I shared, the Professional Development Plan is for all certified staff. Every certified professional development plan has 2 goals. One goal should be focused on your site plan. The second goal can be individualized and aligned to the site plan as well. Both goals should be supported with data to show the student's growth. The PD plan should be developed and reviewed by your qualified evaluator by the end of the first quarter. Remediation plan. If after your first formal observation, there are areas of weakness and teachers who have been ranked ineffective on their final summative evaluation for the 16-17 school year will have their first formal observation in late August or early September. If after the first formal they are still ranked ineffective, they will be placed on a professional remediation plan that runs for 45 calendar days. Reminder, a major change in legislation for teachers who are currently in a continuing teacher status. If a continuing teacher has been designated after an evaluation within the lowest performance classification, which is ineffective, for the 16-17 school year, they will become a probationary teacher for the following school year. The second formal observation will occur in December for somebody who is placed on a remediation plan. If the teacher is still identified as ineffective, the next step is to place the teacher on an instructional plan of action. This is called the preliminary notice of inadequate classroom performance. Your first observation can happen in August or September or in January. The remediation plan can last again for 45 days, and a third observation can happen as well. Inadequate classroom performance, a team is selected to assist with this process, and the instructional plan of action will also cover, again, as I shared, 45 days. The final summative will encompass this process as well to determine if the teacher has improved and will be issued a contract for the following year. If they have not improved, termination can be recommended. The appeal process. If a teacher is not happy with their final summative report, they must request an appeal in writing within 10 working days after the teacher receives their final summative report. The appeal shall state in detail the grounds for appeal, and it should also note that you would like to set up a meeting to discuss your concerns. This is step 1 of the appeal process. The qualified evaluator shall meet with the teacher within 5 working days after they have received the request for appeal. They then have 10 working days after this meeting to issue a written decision regarding the appeal. The written decision shall state in detail the basis for the conclusion they reached in their decision. The teacher may appeal the qualified evaluator's decision to the superintendent within 5 working days after receipt of the qualified evaluator's decision. This is step 2 of the process. Pay for performance. HB 2823 required that starting in the school year 2014-15, no less than 33% of Prop 301, which is in bucket 2, money had to be utilized for teachers' individual evaluation results. The governing board approved that 30% of the 301 funding from bucket 2 would fall into the following categories. If you received a developing, effective, or highly effective on the teaching performance section, which is the 66%, you would receive a pay for performance stipend in August of the following year. This will continue for the 17-18 school year as well. For the 16-17 school year, individuals who received a highly effective classification on the rubric received $900. Those who received effective received $650. And the developing classification, the individuals received $300. The payment will remain the same for 17-18 unless otherwise increases were given to the districts by the state. In closing, I want to thank you for taking time today to review the district's evaluation system. I want to remind you that it is your professional responsibility to read the handbook and educate yourself on the policies and procedures within the evaluation system. As a certified teacher, start gathering evidence throughout the year to support the criteria within each of the 4 domains. Remember, this is a continuous process. If you have any questions, please seek answers so you have a clear understanding of how the process will proceed this year and what work you and your qualified evaluator will need to do collaboratively. Thank you.